Hi, I'm Emily. I am 26, and this is the story of how my brother betrayed me and how I saved his fiancée from him before it was too late. My brother's name is Jake. If you met him, you'd probably like him because everyone always does. He's charming and smart, talks fast, and smiles big. He's the kind of guy who gets away with everything. But I know the truth. Jake lies and cheats, and if he wants something, he'll sweet talk you until you hand it over. Me? I'm not like him. I work in a bakery and save every dollar I can. I've never traveled, and I've never even owned a credit card. And I've always said yes when Jake needed something, even when it hurt. One night around 11 p.m., he called me. I really need your help, he said, sounding nervous. He told me his fiancé's dad had a heart attack. They were rushing him into surgery in New York and insurance wouldn't cover everything. He said they were short by a few $1,000s. And then he said the one thing I still hear in my head today. I wouldn't ask you unless it was life or death. I had $3,500 in my account. Every cent I'd saved over the last 2 years to start a small home bakery. It was all I had. I didn't think twice and sent it the same night. He said, "Thank you. I'll pay you back in 2 months. You saved us." I believed him. But then nothing happened. No updates, no thank you text, just silence. I messaged him after a week asking, "How's everything? Is he okay?" He replied, "All good now. Thanks again." That was it. That's all I got. Weeks turned into months. I pushed down the anger and told myself he's just busy, he'll pay me back. But then one afternoon, everything changed. I opened Instagram and saw a picture I'll never forget. Jake in Paris, kneeling under the Eiffel Tower with a diamond ring. The caption said, "She said yes. Forever starts now." I just sat there staring at my phone. I didn't move. I didn't cry. I just said out loud, "That's my money." And something inside me snapped. That night, I barely slept. I kept going over every word he said on that call. Emergency surgery, life or death. You're the only one I trust. And now here he was in designer clothes, holding a ring under the Eiffel Tower, proposing to his fiancée with my life savings. He didn't just lie. He used me like a backup plan, like a wallet. I didn't tell anyone, and I didn't post anything. I just waited because something didn't feel finished yet. 2 weeks later, we had a small family get-together at our aunt's place. Jake wasn't there, but his fiancée, Melissa, came. I'd only met her a few times. She was sweet and kind, way too good for him. I pulled her aside quietly near the kitchen while everyone else was busy talking. "Hey," I said gently, "I just wanted to ask how's your dad doing now after the surgery?" She looked at me confused. "Surgery? What surgery?" I blinked. She continued, "Oh no, my dad's fine. He's been healthy for a long time." "Why?" I smiled quickly and shook my head. "No reason. I must have misunderstood something Jake said." She laughed a little, not knowing what just happened. But I knew. Right there in that moment, my last bit of doubt was gone. There had been no surgery, no emergency, no crisis. Jake made up the entire thing to take my savings, to buy a ring to impress her. That was the moment my heart didn't break. It hardened. I didn't cry this time. I didn't message him, and I didn't even confront him. I just walked home in silence. And the next morning, I opened my laptop and started looking for used kitchen equipment. I was going to build my bakery from scratch with nothing but borrowed tools and fury. I called in favors. Borrowed a secondhand oven from my neighbor, got mixing bowls from my cousin, rented a tiny space in the back of someone else's cafe during their off hours. I worked late into the night. No logo, no brand, no money for advertising. Just simple cupcakes, cinnamon rolls, and chocolate chip cookies made with shaky hands and a broken heart. At first, no one noticed. But then, one day, a woman bought a lemon tart and posted it online. She had a food blog, a small one, but her posts got shared and people started coming. Slowly, one order turned into 5. 5 turned into 20. And just like that, I had a line at my tiny window every Saturday morning. Meanwhile, Jake didn't even know I was baking again. He was too busy posting travel photos, fancy dinners, rooftop views, all funded by lies. But I had started watching him carefully. I knew he was still cheating. The late-night messages, the flirty replies, a screenshot here, a voice note there. I saved everything. Not to blackmail him, but to protect someone else, Melissa. Because if he could lie to me so easily, he would destroy her. Then about 2 months before the wedding, something unexpected happened. One of my regular bakery customers walked in and said, "Hey, I showed your cake to my sister. She works with a big event planner. They loved it." I smiled politely. She continued, "They're planning a pre-wedding gathering for some fancy couple." I gave them your name. I nodded. "That's really kind. Who's the couple?" She paused, then smiled. "Jake and Melissa. You know them?" I stood still. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I just smiled back and said, "Yeah, I know them." That was the day I knew what I had to do. Not out of hate, not out of revenge, but because someone needed to save Melissa before she made the biggest mistake of her life. The event was a garden party with soft music, champagne, little white lights wrapped around trees. Very polished, very expensive. I arrived early with a tray of cupcakes. Simple and elegant, lemon vanilla with gold dust on top. They were just a cover. Melissa greeted me with a big hug. "I'm so happy you could come. Jake told me you've been busy with your bakery." I had no idea it was doing so well. I smiled. "Yeah, it's been growing, one order at a time." Jake came out of nowhere, sunglasses on, fake charm in full force. "Look who it is, my little sister, our genius baker." "You made it." I nodded. "Of course. I wouldn't miss this for anything." About 20 minutes in, I asked Melissa if we could talk alone. She seemed surprised, but said sure. We walked down to a quieter part of the garden. I could hear my heartbeat. I didn't want to hurt her, but I couldn't stay silent anymore. I looked her in the eyes and said, "Melissa, before you marry my brother, there's something I need to show you." I pulled out a small envelope from my bag. Inside were the bank transfer receipts, screenshots of texts, a printout of the fake surgery excuse, and finally D-Miz between Jake and 2 other women. One of them dated just 5 days ago. Melissa didn't say a word for a full minute. Then she whispered, "I thought we were happy." I replied softly, "I think he wants to be seen as perfect more than he wants to be real." Her hands shook. She sat down slowly on a garden bench. "The money, that was for his trip, wasn't it?" I nodded. "He used my life savings, lied about your dad, bought your ring, flew to Paris, all of it." She put her face in her hands. "No tears yet, just silence." "I'm so sorry," I said quietly. "I didn't want to hurt you. But I also didn't want you to find out 5 years from now when it's too late." What happened next wasn't loud and it wasn't dramatic. Melissa stood up, thanked me, and said she needed some time alone. I walked back toward the party. Jake was laughing with someone near the drinks table. He turned, saw me, and grinned. "Oh, good." I just nodded once and said, "You should talk to Melissa." I left the party before anything exploded. I didn't want to see Jake's face when it all came crashing down. I didn't need to. Some things are better left off screen. But a few hours later, my phone buzzed. A message from Jake. Just 2 words. "You win." I stared at the screen. I didn't reply. Because it was never about winning. It was about truth. About stopping a man who thought people were things, tools to be used and thrown away. A few days later, I found out the wedding was canceled. Melissa moved out of their shared apartment and blocked him on everything. Jake tried to spin the story with family. Said I ruined his life. Said I was jealous. Said I was bitter. But he forgot something. I had the receipts. And once the truth got out, the phone calls stopped going to him. They started coming to me. From people asking for cakes, for interviews, for real stories. It's been a year since that day. My bakery? It's real now, not a dream, not a maybe. It's a warm little space with smells of cinnamon, vanilla, and buttercream. I still don't have $3,500 in my savings, but I have something better. I have peace. I have self-respect. And I have the quiet satisfaction of knowing that I saved a woman from wasting her life on someone who never deserved her. Jake hasn't called me since. But sometimes customers come in and say, Hey, aren't you the one who baked the cupcakes that ended a wedding? I smile. Yes, I am. If you like this story, don't forget to leave a rating in the comments. And if someone ever uses you, lies to you, or breaks your trust, don't worry. Just wait and bake your revenge.